Good evening, everyone. Welcome back for the update on day 19 of the Trezell and Jacqueline West trial. We are in the process of obtaining justice for these two sweet babies up here in the top right hand of the screen, Orrin and Orson West, also known as Classic and Sincere Pettis. Okay, so it seemed like today all they did was read the report from the grand jury. But I think there was some videos as well that they were playing. So I'm going to try to kind of, today might be a little different. So just bear with me. I guess they passed out a copy of the report, right? And they're reading this report of the interview of the West eldest biological son and what he had said in his testimony. So here they basically said the West eldest son said when he lived with his parents, he never really got in trouble. He said the West second eldest son, biological son, that is, was behaved too. The West eldest son said he wasn't being homeschooled because of COVID. He was being homeschooled because that is what his parents decided. He also said when he was doing school in the Casa Loma apartment, Orrin and Orson would stay in the room they all slept in, but he was not sure what they would do. When asked to describe Orrin, the West's eldest son said Orrin would cry a lot and would be mean to Orson. He said Orrin would cry for a long time. He said he would play with Orrin in the front of the apartment. When asked to describe Orson, the West's eldest biological son said he didn't cry as much as Orrin. He also said he had an iPad, a laptop, and an Apple Watch. He was asked if he contacted other people on them, and he said no. He said he slept on the top bunk bed. The West's second eldest biological son slept in the middle, and Orson slept on the bottom. Because I think they had like triple bunk beds. He was asked who moved to California City. He said all of us. Then the West's eldest biological son said he was asked who all of us means. He named the names of his parents and all 6 children, including Orrin and Orson. He said he was asked when the realtor gave his parents the key at the home in Cal City, who was there. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. He was asked when the realtor gave his parents the keys at the home in the California City, who was there. He named his parents and all 6 children, including Orrin and Orson. He said he and the West's second eldest biological son sat in the front of the van. The West's 2 eldest adopted sons sat in the middle of the van, and Orrin and Orson sat in the back of the van. He said the last time he said he saw Orrin and Orson was in the van when he and the 3 other sons were dropped off at his grandma's house a few days before Christmas. He said he told Sonia Barton when they were in the apartment in Bakersfield he heard Orrin gagging at night. He said it was a normal sound. He said he went to bed. He did not check to see if Orrin was okay. He said his parents checked in on Orrin. He said they were in the room for a while. He said they came out and spoke to him, but he doesn't remember what they told him. Convenient, right? He said his parents went in the room to wake up Orrin and Orson. He said he didn't remember what happened next. He said later that day he didn't see Orrin. He asked what happened to Orrin. He then said his mom and dad said Orrin went to his mom's apartment at the Casa Loma Apartments. He said this was a few days before they moved to Cal City. That does... I'm surprised that they read that because I'm pretty sure that this was being read in by the defense. And I'm surprised that they let it happen because this does not really conflict that much with the story that he was telling about Orson dying in his sleep. I'm sorry, Orrin dying in his sleep. Not Orson, Orrin. It was kind of the same thing. He heard something going on with him. His parents came in the room. They had a talk with him. Like those things he said did happen. So I think this is more damning than it helps so far anyway. The eldest biological son said his dad went to go pick up Orrin from his grandmother's house a few days before Christmas. He said at that time, Orson was in the van. The West's eldest biological son said he found out the boys were missing a few days before Christmas. He said he didn't talk to his dad about Orrin or Orson missing. Now, isn't that weird? Is that not weird? The West's eldest biological son confirmed he told Miss Barton he did not want to tell anyone that Orrin died because this happens, in quotation marks. He said Orrin was lying on the ground and his parents asked him if he should go back to school. The West's eldest biological son said Orrin was in California City for 4 days. He said when his grandma was in California City house, when his parents were back and forth moving, Orson was not there with them. So when they were moving back and forth, Orson wasn't there. He said the diapers were in the house for Orrin and Orson, but the West's second eldest adopted used a diaper once. He said after Orrin stole Orson's drink, he went to his room and the boys and his parents were in the kitchen. He was asked, did it seem weird to you that there was a bed for Orrin, but you knew he wasn't there? He said he was asked how it made him feel. There was a bed for Orson in California City. He said that he knew he was going to come home. The son said he knew what his dad was saying on the news was a lie. Okay, maybe the Philippines didn't. Who brought this in? It. I'm not sure who brought this up, guys. Okay, so let's go back. I'm going to backtrack a little bit. He said he was okay. So the West's eldest biological son said he was asked how it made him feel. There was a bed for Orson in California City. He said he knew he was going to come back. The son said he knew what his dad was saying on the news was a lie. Those two sentences conflict each other. So I'm confused by that. But then he said, after Orrin stole Orson's drink, he went to his room and the boys and his parents were in the kitchen. He was asked, did it seem weird to you? There was a bed for Orrin, but you knew he wasn't there. And that's when he just responded, he knew he was coming back. Okay. The West's eldest biological son said when his parents dropped him and his brothers off at his grandmother Wanda's house, it was the 4 boys in the van. He did not mention Orrin or Orson. He was asked, do you remember the West's eldest adopted son saying he heard a bump in the night? He said he heard it too, but was falling asleep. This was at the home in Cal City. He said that day he saw Orrin. No, wait. He said that day he saw Orson, but he did not see Orson after that night. He said his parents told him that they took Orson to Grandma Maria's, which is Jacqueline's mom. He said he was asked if he was telling law enforcement and authorities everything he can to help them find Orrin and Orson, and he said yes. He said when he saw Orrin, his color was fading. He said it looked like Orrin's skin was dry, like he needed lotion. He was asked when you saw Orrin's color fading, was he breathing? And the son said he didn't think so. The West's eldest biological son said he went to school first and then came back and saw the vomit from Orrin. He said he heard Orrin and Orson making a gagging sound at night. That was unusual. He said Orson would make that sound more often. He said the morning Orrin died, he did not see Orrin move. He said he thinks Orrin's color was white. He said after about a week and 4 days later, he never saw Orson again. The defense is showing body-worn camera video of the West's eldest biological son being interviewed by Cal City police officer Brian Hansen at Wanda West's house from December 2020. This is like the day after they were allegedly reported missing. First, Orson went to Grandma's apartment before they moved to Cal City, and then Orson went to Grandma's apartment after they moved. Sonia Barton is still interviewing him, and she asked if he smelled anything after Orrin's throw up, and he said no. She asked him, does your grandma know what happened to Orrin and Orson? He said, I don't think so. Then they took a recess. At that point, when they came back from lunch, well, I don't know. I don't know if they had a short day or whatever, but they got started really late today. And, because it's really frustrating when they do that too, because when you're trying to listen and stay, like, on the feed, you just sit there and wait, and you don't know what's going on. Um, George Bremer told the jury closing arguments will likely be on Tuesday, and that this coming Friday and the following Monday are dark days, so there will be no trial. There's no time limit for closing arguments, and then whenever that is over, the jury will begin their deliberations. He said all that before they adjourned court for the day. So that was a quick side note I wanted to make sure I said. So we've got, what's today? Tuesday? So we've got Wednesday, Thursday. So we got 2 more days of trial, technically. All right. I'm going to go back and read some notes here from a different thread that helped me kind of piece all this together. If I repeat myself in some way, I apologize. I just rather you guys hear this twice than not hear it at all, right? In the testimony, the eldest son, biological son, is describing a photo, and he said it was his brother's room, including Orrin's. He was describing the family van. He said Orrin and Orson sat in the back. When asked when he last saw Orrin and Orson, the child said in the van while they were being dropped off at Grandma's before Christmas. He did. He was asked if he ever saw Orson sleeping. He said no. He said he never really went into his brother's room either. He said he remembers telling the interviewer that Orson threw up in their apartment in Bakersfield. He said he heard a gagging sound from Orrin while he was sleeping. And just so you guys can get this down, like, I don't know, I always say Orrin and Orson, so you know that Orrin is the oldest one. So I always put his name before Orson. I don't know if that helps you visually while you're listening to all this, because it's believed that Orrin passed before Orson did. And according to a testimony that we heard last week, it is believed that he died in his sleep. And of course, we don't have the little baby's remains, so we don't know exactly what caused that, but it sounds like he was malnourished and I guess possibly beaten. We don't know. This gets tough to do, like, just to think about a child suffering like this. It's just, I don't know. I guess it's just now starting to hit me. And I kept saying yesterday, there's a reason why these children are crying. They were crying because they were either hungry or they wanted attention or they needed something. Or they were in pain, maybe. All right, let's get back to this. He said he didn't go back to look at Orrin in the morning. He said he didn't tell his parents about the noise he heard, but his parents went to check on him. Again, his parents came out to talk to him after that happened, and he said he didn't remember what his parents said. In the testimony that he gave Sonia Barton, though, after he was in foster care, it was, "We're not going to tell anybody about this," is what his parents said to him at that point because of the repercussions. He said later that day he didn't see Orrin. He said he thinks Orrin went to his grandma's home, Jacqueline's mom's. The child is asked about Orrin going to stay at his grandmother's. He said Orrin was brought back to Cal City before Christmas. He said he found out that Orrin and Orson were missing from his resource parents. Now, when they say resource parents, they're referring to the parents that they're currently in the custody of right now while all this is going on. The child is asked about speaking with the police, and he said he didn't remember. The child said he spoke with police around 5 times. He said he didn't remember what he told them. He's asked about visiting with his parents. The child said during these visits, they play games and watch movies. Oh, yeah, that's how they do. The parents aren't, like, feeding him with lies, right? Telling him not to say anything. He's given a transcript of what he previously told the officers. So I just want to bring this up again, guys, because first you have the interview that was given. Let me see if I can pin this down. First, you have the initial interview the day after the boys were reported missing. Okay. And that was with Hanson. Then they go to, I guess this is worse. This is Sonia Barton at the Jameson Center, and she's the one that's giving the interviews with him then. And then the third set of interviews, I believe, this is just the way I understand it to happen, was when they were doing the grand jury stuff. Okay. So the child is given a transcript of what he previously told officers. He is asking about telling officers he hadn't seen Orrin or Orson since they were dropped off at their grandma's. The child is asked if they were in the van with them, and he said he doesn't know. He's then asked about hearing gagging noises from Orrin. He said he fell asleep. In the morning, the child went to the school. Well, in the morning, the child went to their schoolroom. He said he wasn't paying attention to Orrin. He said he didn't see Orrin that day. This is in the same house. The schoolroom is in the home, you guys. The child is shown the recording of his forensic interview, and the child is asked why he didn't want to say anything about what happened to Orrin. Because this happens, he said. Because this happens? You know what that sounds like? Something that vague and weird. That sounds like something that Jacqueline would say. We're going through it. Because this happens. I can just hear her saying that to him. The child said he saw Orrin on the floor. He said Orrin went to stay at his grandma's after that. He was then asked about Orson. He said he was in the Cow City home with them for a few days. He's asked about diapers in the Cow City home. He said there were diapers for Orrin and Orson, and the child is asked about another brother using the diapers. They said that only happened one time, though. He's asked about why there's a bed for Orrin in Cow City, if he knew Orrin was dead. Child is asked if he thought that was weird. He said no. He's asked about watching his parents on the news. He said that what his dad said on the news was a lie. He's asked what his parents said about taking care of it after the incident involving Orrin. The child said he doesn't know. The child is asked if he ever asked about Orson. He said his parents dropped him off at their grandma's. The child said he didn't think it was weird. They only took Orson to their grandma's. The child is asked if he ever asked about Orson. He said his parents dropped him off at their grandma's. The child said he didn't think it was weird that they took Orson to their grandmother's. The child said he's heard strange noises from Orrin at night on previous occasions, so he didn't think it was unusual. The child is then shown a recording of himself talking to the police. The child is asked about seeing Orrin move at all. He said no. He said he thought he saw white vomit. The child says it was about a week and 4 days after Orrin had gone that Orson was gone too. So when they came back from lunch, they were asking the child why Orrin and Orson were taken to their grandmother's home, and the child said that this was after they moved to Cal City. Then the child says Orrin was at their grandmother's first, then Orson. The child doesn't remember when Orrin went to stay at their grandma's. Then the video ended, and the defense was playing the recording of the child being interviewed by the forensic interviewer. In the interview, Sonia Barton, the interviewer, asked the child what he smelled when he saw Orrin in the bedroom. He said he didn't smell anything. Barton asked if the child remembered saying in the van there was a bad smell. The child asked Barton if his parents had enough food. That's weird. Barton asked the child if they had a lot of food in their house, and the child said yes. The child said they were supposed to be at their grandmother's house for 5 days, but police took them before their parents could pick them up. The child asked if he's going to get another toy, and then the video finished. I think that was it, guys. I think that was all that happened. Okay. When he was asking the social worker if his parents have enough food, he said it like this. He asked if the social worker, if his parents have enough food because there is police tape surrounding the house. And he did say a minute later, after saying he didn't smell anything, he said he did smell something but couldn't tell what it was. She specifically asked him what he smelled when Orrin died. He first says he didn't smell anything. A minute later, he says he did smell something but couldn't tell what it was. Okay, the first video was Brian Hansen interviewing the eldest son on December 22nd, 2020. It took him about an hour to read those transcripts. And then when they came back, they did that other recording. According to the boy's testimony, Orrin was motionless. He said Orson disappeared about a week and 4 days later. The boy talked again about Orrin and how his color was fading, his skin seemed dry. The night after he heard him gagging, he said there was vomit. The boy told the grand jury he heard a bump in the night in the Cow City home and Orson wasn't there the next day. The interviewer asked how he felt about having a bed for Orson in his room, even though he knew he wasn't there. And the little boy said, like, he would come back. I guess the reason they're playing these back to back like this is to show how inconsistent his testimony is. But to me, I don't think I think it does kind of fit in some ways, in some places. And to me, it's telling. Asked about when his grandmother on his father's side watched them in Cow City as they moved, the boy said only he and the 3 other boys were present, not Orrin and Orson. They played the video of the boy telling a social worker his parents told him Orrin had died. He said they asked him if they should tell anyone. He said Orrin was on the floor. The boy talked again about hearing Orrin gagging one night. He said his parents never talked with him about it and he doesn't know about Orrin being sick. He told Hanson he hadn't seen Orrin or Orson for a week because they got dropped off at Grandma's house. He said he doesn't remember what he previously said about Orrin and Orson. He said he found out the boys were missing a few days before Christmas. He said he doesn't remember what he told police. He said he thought that they brought Orrin back in a few days before Christmas. He said he thinks his dad went to pick him up. He said Orrin was at his grandmother's for a while, speaking of Jacqueline's mom's house. The boy said they moved to Cow City a little while after Orrin was dropped off. He said he next saw him a few days before Christmas. He said he forgets what happened but didn't see Orrin later and thinks he went to his grandmother's house. He said his parents went and checked on Orrin. They were there a while, then they came out and spoke with him. He said he doesn't remember what they told him. Asked about previously saying he saw Orrin was sick, the boy said he heard gagging one night from Orrin. He said he went to bed. Then the next morning, he and 3 of his brothers went to their laptops. No, the boy said when asked if he knows where Orrin and Orson are. He said they were both in the van when the rest of the children were dropped off at their grandmother's a few days before Christmas. He said all of them were there when the pest control guy sprayed. He said the boy said another room is for 2 of his older brothers. The boy said another room is for 2 of his other brothers and Orrin. He said all of us moved to the house, including Orrin and Orson. He described the bunk beds put together by his father, Trezell West. He said he made them after they moved in. He described the bunk beds used by him and another child and Orson. Okay, the boy said his watch used to be his dad's, but he gave it to him. He said he thinks it's at his grandmother's house now, but because he doesn't have it. They played the video for him, and he said he made it using Zoom, and some of his other brothers were in it. The boy identified photos of rooms in the Cow City home. He talked about how he and his brothers, with the exception of Orrin and Orson, would go to a schoolroom where they were homeschooled. He said he doesn't remember how long they lived in Bakersfield. He said he doesn't know why they moved, but they went to Cow City. He identified photos of Orrin and Orson. He said Orrin would cry a lot for no reason. He said his parents would place him in a room in timeout when he cried. The boy said we all had a bed on a floor, a mattress with a pillow. They all slept on the mattresses on the floor except for Orson, who slept in the crib. The boy said Orrin and Orson would be in the room where all the boys slept together while the other children were homeschooled. The boy said they lived in the apartment in Bakersfield near Casa Loma Elementary. The boy listed his other brothers, including Orrin and Orson. The interview asked about his brothers getting into trouble and how they were disciplined. He said he went to first grade and then was homeschooled. He identified a photo of Jacqueline West as his mother and said she taught him. He identified a photo of his father and said he's nice and smart. So that was it. So we're going to be back in tomorrow. I don't know if they're done reading this whole thing, though, because they said they're going to read the entire grand jury report. And the way that they're doing it in court is they've got one attorney on the defense side reading the responses of the child, while Fatima Rodriguez, who is on the uh, co co attorney or whatever you call her, assistant attorney, she's reading the questions as if she were the interviewer. All right. So I don't I don't know. You guys tell me what you think in the comments. I don't know. I think that little boy died in his bed. I don't think that that would have been something another little kid would have been able to think up on his own. I just don't think so. Kids have wild imaginations. If they were going to say that he died, wouldn't he have said something like he fell off a cliff or he fell down a well or you know what I mean? Like he died in his sleep. Children don't make up when they make up things, they make up things big. At least that's what I believe. I don't know. All right. Well, I will look forward to putting something together for you guys tomorrow after trial is over with. And only a couple days left here. So you guys pray that we things go our way and that these boys get some justice. You guys have a safe evening. Be good and stay safe.